My name is Marco Collins, and I'm here with Stephanie Ann Johnson.
Hello.
Hi. How are you? This is our intro. I'm glad that I got a chance to sit down with you, though. This is the giggle that you're going to see from Stephanie Ann the entire interview, because I saw it happen live on stage. And it was incredible. When she loses it like this, when they lose it. Oh,
the thing is... Okay, why I do it on stage, why I laugh on stage, because I got told at one of the gigs recently that it was distracting. You know, the audience finds it distracting, and part of why I'm laughing on stage is I still can't believe that this is my job, and people pay me money to do this. And I mean, I would do this at home in my shower for no money, and have for many a year.
Yeah.
But occasionally people pay me the big bucks to get on the large stages and do it, and it tickles. It's hilarious. It's the funniest thing to me.
I think your laugh is endearing, and when I saw you crack it up on stage, I was like, this is real. They are losing it right now, and it didn't even feel like you were losing it out of nervousness.
Right.
It felt like you were just having a great time.
I was.
And so we need to talk about the Triple Door show that I saw you play. It was your first sold-out show at the Triple Door.
Correct.
2 standing ovations.
Yes.
I was on my feet dancing and screaming at one point. I was filming from a second story in the green room, and I was just astounded at how good your set was. I've said this before. I'm still trying to dial in what kind of artist you are. And I think maybe that's something that you're trying to dial into?
Well, so at this current juncture, I'm really, I'm into my Stevie Wonder era. At least that's how I'm feeling into it. Because Stevie Wonder, there's never been any beef. Like, when you look at the past of Stevie Wonder, it's never been like, you know, this person or that person has a problem with Stevie Wonder. No one has a problem with Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder is universally beloved. He gets to play the funky music. He gets to play music that has a religious bent, and he gets asked to go and play on Sesame Street. And I want to do all of those things.
When I first saw you, it was more of an R&B set. I saw you open, well, talking about opening for large artists, I saw her open for Bernie Sanders.
That's right.
At the Tacoma Dome, of all things. That was my first time seeing them open and play. And first of all, what was that experience like for you?
So, as a child, my grandmother took me to the Tacoma Dome to see Disney on Ice every year. Like, this was the thing, like, even until I was in high school. And you still want to go see this? Of course I want to go see the ice skaters.
Yeah.
This is fabulous. So, you know, younger me, well, I believe I was literally like drooling a little bit, and making all kinds of happy noises, like walking into the Tacoma Dome as this was happening, because I'm like, oh my God, of all the places I thought I'd play, I didn't think it was going to be this one, but it's this one. Look at this. This is ridiculous. And so,
Packed.
oh my gosh, so many humans.
Right. Yeah.
So many. And I got so many well wishes that night. We were playing stuff off of Take This Love, which was the record we recorded. I believe it was recorded in 2018, and then it was released in 2019. Yeah.
Did you meet Bernie?
I met Bernie super briefly. There's a picture of it on my Facebook of myself and the band members, and Mackenzie's in that picture too. And in my mind, it's like, oh my God, I'm singing for the future president of the United States of America.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get invited to sing at the inauguration. It's all going to happen. So you like see... So you can see in my face that I'm like that it's all happening behind my eyes.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. You certainly don't hide your emotions very well. You wear your emotions on your sleeve.
Directly on my face.
On your face.
I'm a terrible liar. I've never been good at being a liar, because it all just shows up right here.
Was that, you grew up in Tacoma?
Yeah.
So,
born and raised.
God, walking into that venue after going to it as a young person for as long as you did, that had to have been a weird place for you to be.
Yes. Was
that hands down the biggest crowd you had ever played in front of?
Maybe. Doing The Voice in 2013, you know, you get told, if you get told by, you know, the producers or whatever, that, you know, there's the audience that's here, but at some point somebody pointed at the camera and said there are 15 million people in here.
Right.
And I was like, I'm glad I know that. Glad I know that information.
Do they pick your songs for you?
Yes.
Okay.
You can from what I understand, you can argue with the people about that. You can say, I'd rather sing this than that. But at the time when I was there, you know, wide-eyed people pleaser, I'll sing whatever you want. Just send the check to my house.
What did they make you sing?
The tune Black Horse and a Cherry Tree, KT Tunstall.
Okay.
And then I believe the tune was from Little Big Town called Done.
Okay.
And then the last tune was Georgia on My Mind.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Oh, that one probably came the closest to your
I mean,
heart.
Yeah, I have been. Oh, there's also Don't Know Why from Nora Jones. Yeah. So Georgia on My Mind. Whenever I do that, I usually dedicate it to my grandmother, who was born and raised in Georgia, but then has been one of the only family members to live above the Mason-Dixon line.
Okay.
Wow.
I
love that. That's a fun thing to say. For the last, 60 years. Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Growing up in Tacoma, did you feel like you always knew what you wanted to do, or did you have other career goals as a kid?
I knew that I wanted to sing. I knew that I wanted to be a musician. I knew that that was something that I was going to do. But also, I didn't necessarily know that it was a quote-unquote real job for a number of years.
Okay.
I had a musician friend named Steve Stefanowitz, who was one of my mentors and still is to this day. He's a great player. If you have the chance to see Steve Stefanowitz play guitar, like, go do that.
Okay.
But you know, in the early days of us hanging out, I'd be like, yeah, do you want to hang out on Wednesday or Thursday? And he would say, well, I have work on Thursday, but we can get together on Monday. And I remember asking him, what do you do for work? And he's like, I'm a musician. I work Wednesday through Sunday. And I was like, really?
Right. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then my parents, I was 25, and I was finishing at Pacific Lutheran University, and I'm filling out my taxes. And, you know, it gets to the point where it says occupation. I turn to my mom. I'm like, what do I write for occupation? And both my mom and my stepdad were like, you write musician. Did we not just pay all this money for you to get this degree? Like, what are you talking about?
So maybe you hadn't taken it to heart at that point. Did you believe that you would be where you are right now back then?
I mean, of course not. Of course not. Because, you know, in my mind, it's still like, you know, pie in the sky. Pie in the sky, you know, I get to meet Elmo and I get to sing on Sesame Street and there's Muppets and it's fantastic, you know, pie in the sky, right? Big giant eyes about it. And my manager is just like, why is that pie in the sky though, instead of just something that is going to happen at some point?
Right.
So that's where I am with it. I still live in a pie in the sky place, but to be told that what I think of as pie in the sky is just stuff that's going to happen eventually.
I mean, it seems like benchmarks, right? And the further you go, the more benchmarks you hit that you probably thought weren't obtainable.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It's very cool.
How do you feel this scene has been reactive to your music?
I feel like one of the things that fills my heart is being invited by other musicians to gatherings of musicians.
Yeah.
And it was there was a gathering at London Bridge. This was like pre-2020, and so there were a group of us there, and I was telling folk about being in litho and recording "Take This Love" and what it was, and I played and. Lay people that don't play instruments, it's one thing to, get the local accountant and the local real estate person to realize there's some music going over here and to just give me 5 minutes. That's one thing. But people that do this for a living, to like have a room full of musicians react to me the way that I feel, especially the Seattle folk react to me, has been very favorable, especially with groups like Rain City Rock Camp. I have really enjoyed the camaraderie I've made with some people connected with camp, and some of whom were at the Triple Door show, which is very, very exciting. And then also the Bushwick Book Club. There's a grouping of musicians from that group that have followed me around, which is very cool. And then the Tribute to the Last Waltz. There's a group of musicians that surrounds that group of musicians who have a giving spirit. Like, yes, I want to play music, yes, but some of it has to be for the good of society in some way. I really like that.
What do you mean by that?
Well, every year those musicians that get together to do the Tribute to the Last Waltz.
Yeah.
The first year I was with them, the money went to Rain City Rock Camp, which is how I got pulled in.
Okay.
Since though, they have moved on to making money for Northwest Harvest.
Very cool, though.
So the notion that not only am I using my gift, from the unseen or whatever, not only am I using that gift to uplift people here in this moment, but the people that are here, not only the musicians, but the audience as well, is here for the cause of feeding our unhoused neighbors.
That's great.
That feels noble. And I love that.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Rain City Rock Camp. That's a Northwest thing.
Yes.
Tell folks that may not know what it is, what it's all about, and what they do. So,
Rain City Rock Camp, for me, in my experience, there are two programs that kind of run parallel. One is an adult rock camp that is for women and gender non-conforming individuals. You get together, you meet on a Friday. You're there Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday is the performance.
Yeah.
And it's also a way to build the volunteer base for people that work with the student version of that, which is a summer camp. They usually do 2 to 4 weeks of it, depending on the population of kid available for this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the kids meet on a Monday. And then they're together all week for the life of the camp, and then on Saturday there's a show. So not only do the kids get, especially the younger ones, there's what do you call this? There's a self-defense aspect of it.
Oh, cool.
There's a social justice aspect of it. There is instrument instruction for guitar, bass, drums. Sometimes they have keyboards and vocals. And then there is also, I love that they do a thing called an instrument petting zoo or a pedal petting zoo. So they will set up, various guitars at various stations, and the kids can come by and try. These pedals make fuzz, these pedals make delay, these pedals make distortion, and they can sit and try these electronic things and not get told, you're a this and so you don't get a that.
Right. Or
Right.
have to be in a guitar center.
Right.
Where they're like, all right, bye or get out.
Exactly.
You know?
Right.
Wow, that's really cool. Were you a mentor?
Yes. Yes.
What was that like?
So with Rain City Rock Camp, I have taught vocals in for the student program. It's a week long. I have taught vocals for the adult camp, which is a weekend. I have taught guitar for the adult program. I love teaching.
Well, that's great.
I love teaching. I love group teaching. It's a very, it's a specialized feeling to be an audience member and see someone you have spent a couple hours convincing that they can do this.
Yeah.
It's a special feeling to then look up and see them
Do it.
do it,
That's neat.
like right in front of you.
Wow.
It's really, it's emotional and it's incredible. Because you had mentioned Tacoma before, born and raised in Tacoma, went to District 10 public schools for the whole time. And so I had music teachers that really poured into me, that worked to make sure that I had the confidence and the tools necessary to be a professional musician. So being able to give even a little bit of that back to the community at large is a really huge, a really huge thing, and I'm very, very excited to be a part of it. Also, Rock Camp, there's a global contingent, because when you go to different larger cities, it's just a different group of riot girls putting on a similar thing.
Okay.
And one of the first years that I was out at Rain City Rock Camp, they did an exchange.
What?
So the camp opened, and this was pre-pandemic, right? So people were still trying to figure out Zoom or whatever. And
Right.
and
was like, I
and
know. Yeah.
and it's like a large, projection happening, and we did an exchange with the folk that were doing rock camp out in Brooklyn.
Wow.
So, the screen opens and it's just someone's face like this, doing this, and then they even out, and it's a room full of people, and the Seattle got to play their rock camp song for the Brooklyn Cats, and then the Brooklyn Cats played their rock camp song for us, and I love that. I love that. I wish there was more of that in this country. Because if the artists over here could see what the artists over there were doing and we had actual exchange, I just think that
more ideas would flow. More like,
we can make cooler shit.
Yeah. I can see that being a thing.
Yes. Yes.
What goes on in Brooklyn is completely different than what goes on here, I feel like.
Correct. People forget that entertainment is braided into culture. Culture informs our entertainment practices. And going on tour, we were down in California recently. That, right, the travel and seeing how different people in different cities do entertainment, it's very interesting. It's similar. It's similar because, there's always a microphone, there's always a sound check.
Yeah.
But, are people out at a restaurant or people out at a winery?
Right.
Or did people come to a music venue to see music?